Hey there guys, welcome to the 5th video on the CSS animation bite-sized tutorial, and in this video we'll be using everything that we've learned throughout this tutorial to create a fun little animation which will involve our orange submarine friend and Nemo. So let's get started. Alright guys, so to our right in the browser here you can see the animation that we're going to be replicating. So we've got a submarine here, or the image that we've been using throughout this tutorial. We've also got an image of Nemo. Now the body has a background color of a linear gradient, so it's got two colors. First is this light blue color representing the sky, and the second part is just sort of to represent the sea. Now if you look closely to the submarine here, you can see it's already got two animations on it already, so it's kind of jolting from left to right, and it's also got like a spinning propeller, just to give it the indication that it's moving. So the spinning propeller here, the way I've created this is using a div and just giving it a background color of black, and then I've used border radius to shape it. Now if I refresh this, you can see Nemo starts swimming towards it. When he gets too close, a light flickers on, he gets scared, sort of ducks underneath it and then goes back up, and the light also flickers out. So this is the animation we're going to be creating throughout the tutorial. Now this isn't the most practical use. We will be looking at a more practical use in the next video of CSS animations and the transition and transform property, but this is just a fun little exercise for you guys to show you the types of things we can actually do with just CSS. Right guys, so without wasting any more time, you can see here on the left we've got a fresh document, and it's got a div with a class of C inside the body. Inside this div we've got the two images as well as the two divs, one with the class of propeller and one with the class of light, because we're going to be creating these divs and shaping them ourselves. Now inside the style sheet you can see we've just got some global styles, and the submarine and the image of Nemo have a width and height to them and an object fit of contained, so they can keep their resolution. Now this is what it looks like currently in the browser here. So the first thing I'm going to do is just add those two colors to the body. So first a bit of height of 100 viewport height, so it's the whole height of the browser, and then we're going to grab the background property and linear gradient, and the first color we're going to be putting in here is light blue. Second color is going to be dark blue. Now this isn't going to look exactly the same as the original right now because we haven't got any color stops, so we first need to insert those. So we're going to have about 20% of the light blue and then about 70% of the dark blue, and then we need one more color stop in the middle, so the light blue stops at around 25%. So we're going to say 25% there, and now this should look exactly the same as the original. And you can see here it does. So from here now we just need to add a position of relative, so we can position the submarine and Nemo anywhere inside of the body. So we're going to grab the submarine first, position absolute, we're going to say about top, let's say about 50%, or maybe 40% actually, yeah, 40%, and then let's say about 50% from the left, so 15%. Now let's position Nemo, so position of absolute, and then for Nemo we're going to say let's say top 50%, and then right, let's say about 10%. So now that looks exactly the same as the one we're replicating. So the last bit of styling from here is just creating the propeller and the light for us to use. So we're going to grab the class of propeller, and then we're going to say background color of this to be let's say black, and then give this a width of 5 pixels, so it's going to be really small, and then a height of about 20 pixels. So you should see it at the top of the screen now, really tiny. Now to give it more of that propeller look, we're going to add a border radius, so we're going to say border radius of about 50%. You see now it looks a lot more like the propeller from our original example. So all we need to do now is just position this absolute. So we're going to say let's say top 50%, see what that looks like at the moment. So a bit more, so let's say 0.6, and then now we just need to position it from the left, so left, let's say about 16.5%, and that positions it right where we want to on the image there. So from here now the last thing we need to do is just create our light, so it's going to be called light, and we're going to say give this a width of say 300 pixels, and then let's give this a background color of white, and let's also give this a height of about 100 pixels, so you should see at the top of the screen now. Now the way we're going to shape this div here is using the clip path property, and what that does is essentially just clip parts out of an element and you can create pretty cool shapes from it. Now I do have a 5-minute Fridays episode on the clip path property if you guys want to check that out, but to make this simple we're just going to go inside a website called Clippy, and you can see in this example we have an image and it's cut out certain sections of the image and it gives us a triangle shape, and you can come on here and pretty much create any shape you like. Now what we can also do is actually adjust this wherever we want, so we can create different sort of shapes, and you can see here I'm just going to create the sort of shape of the light, and then down here at the bottom you see it gives us the coordinates, so the clip path polygon and the 3 coordinates, and all we need to do is just copy and paste it in here. So we'll go back into our example and you can see it's given us the shape of the light, and now all we need to do is just position this so it's just sitting right above here on the image. So to do that we're going to say position, not relative, absolute, and then we're going to say top, so let's say about 45%, should push it down, and then from the left we're just going to say, let's say 23%, maybe a bit more, so 25%, see what that looks like, about 28, and that looks pretty good. So all we need to do now is just animate all of this. So the first thing we want to do here is just start animating the submarine. So we're going to go underneath inside the class submarine, grab the animation property, and we're going to call this sway, and let's make the sway about 0.7 seconds, and let's make it linear and also continuously running, so infinite. So we'll go underneath here and create this keyframe for it. So keyframes, it's called sway, and we're going to be using percentages. So from the starting point, so 0%, we're just going to have a transform translate x -2 pixels, and then at the halfway point we'll make this a bit smoother, so 50% transform translate x, we'll say 0 pixels, and then at 100% we're just going to have a transform translate x -1 pixel, so it just looks a bit smoother. So now we have our submarine moving here. So the next thing we want to do is just grab the propeller and have that spinning constantly. So we're going to go inside the propeller class and we're going to grab the animation property, and we're going to call this propeller, and let's make this 2 seconds long, and then let's also have this linear, so it's going at the same speed, and then infinite for this too, so it's continuously running. So we're going to create the keyframes now for it. So the keyframes, propeller, oh, not the class, the animation name, and then go inside here, and then all we need to do is basically just say 100%. We're going to say transform and then rotate x, let's have it rotate in 360 degrees, so it's going to continuously keep spinning at 360 degrees. So you'll see it now, it keeps spinning, so we've got the submarine moving. Now the next thing I want to do is style Nemo, so we can get Nemo moving. So we're going to go underneath propeller and then go inside Nemo, and let's create an animation name, and let's say Nemo, and we'll have Nemo 10 seconds linear, and then let's just create this animation with a keyframe. So keyframes, identify, we'll say Nemo, and then we'll go inside here and we'll say we can use the from and to here, and then we can actually use from and to in this example. We don't need percentages, so say transform, let's translate him on the x-axis, so from his current position we want him to transform translate x, let's say about -1000 pixels, so he travels off the screen, and you'll see now he starts traveling along the x-axis from 0 pixels minus 1000 pixels, which take him off the screen here. But in our original example he actually has a bit of a scare, so when the light flicks on you'll see he actually ducks underneath it and then sort of swims back up towards 1000 pixels or -1000 pixels. So let's create that now. Now the cool thing about the animation property is that we can apply more than one animation to the element we want to animate. So if we go inside here and I use a comma, and I'm going to call this animation scare, and I'm going to make it 10 seconds long, and we're also going to have this as linear. Now go underneath this keyframe of Nemo and we'll grab that keyframe function, and we'll grab the scare, the one we just named, and then from this example I want from the starting point of 0%. We want him to be, so his current position right now is top 50%, so we want him to stay there currently right now until the light flicks on. So top 50%, and then at about 30%, we also want him to still be at top of about 50%, and then when it gets to about 45%, we want him to dip down, like so he acts as if he's scared when the light flicks on. So I'll say 45%, and we'll say top 65%, and then when it gets to 100 or the end point, he will eventually go back to the original starting point of 50%. You can see now when he starts swimming towards it, gets a bit close, he gets scared, dips down underneath it, and then swims back up towards negative 1000 pixels. So we're nearly done with the animation now. All we need to do is just animate the light so it flickers on and off when Nemo gets close. So we'll go up to where the div of light is, or the class of light, and then we're going to say opacity 0. Now opacity just affects the transparency, and the current value now is 0, so it's completely transparent and we can't see it. So that's what we want the original state to be. So now underneath this we'll create the animation. So animation light, let's make it about 4 seconds long, and then let's delay this by about 2 seconds. 2 seconds, and then ease in, and then we'll create our keyframes now. So keyframes identifier, we'll say light, and then at 0% we still want the opacity to be 0, so it's still not currently on. And then about 60% of the animation we want the opacity to be 1, and then at 100% we want the opacity to be 0, so it flickers off. Now what should happen when Nemo gets close? The light should flick on, it scares Nemo, he ducks down, and then the light flickers off, and then Nemo goes back to his original position. So that's going to conclude the animation, guys. So just a fun little exercise we've created just to show you guys the power of CSS animation, the transition and the transform property. In the next video, we are going to be using these properties we've learned and applying them to a more practical example. Now, if you guys did enjoy the content, please show your support by hitting the like button, and please consider subscribing. If you guys have any questions, leave them down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.